Imagine walking through a quiet, medieval street in the summer heat of 1518. The air is thick with the scent of wood smoke and old stone. Suddenly, you turn a corner and see a woman. She isn't walking, she is dancing. Her movements are frantic, her face is drenched in sweat, and her eyes are wide with a terrifying kind of emptiness. There is no music, there is no celebration, there is only the rhythmic, haunting thud of her feet against the cobblestones. Day turns to night, and she doesn't stop. Night turns to day, and she is still there, her shoes torn, her feet bleeding, but she isn't alone anymore. One by one, others join her. Dozens, then hundreds. They are dancing themselves to death, and no one, not the priests, not the doctors, not the kings can make them stop. This isn't a dark fairy tale. This is a documented historical fact. Today, on Fossilized Facts, we are unearthing the bizarre and terrifying reality of the dancing plague of 1518. The setting is Strasbourg, a city in the Holy Roman Empire, modern-day France. The date is July 14th, 1518. A woman known as Frau Troffea steps out of her house and begins to dance. For 6 days straight, she continues this agonizing marathon. By the end of the week, 34 others have joined her in this involuntary disco. Within a month, the crowd of dancers swells to 400 people. To the modern observer, this might sound like a massive street party, but the reality was a nightmare. The dancers weren't smiling. They were screaming for help. They were begging for mercy. Their bodies were twitching in rhythmic spasms that they could not control. Many of them eventually collapsed from exhaustion, suffered heart attacks, or died from strokes right there in the street. The authorities of Strasbourg were baffled. In the 16th century, the line between science and superstition was thin. They consulted the leading physicians of the time. Now, you might expect the doctors to suggest a curse or a demonic possession, but they didn't. Instead, they offered a scientific diagnosis of the era: hot blood. They believed the dancers were suffering from a natural brain fever caused by blood that had become overheated. And their solution, it was perhaps the most disastrous medical advice in history. They decided that the only way to cure the dancers was to encourage them to dance even more. The city council actually hired musicians. They brought in professional drummers and fiddlers. They even built a massive wooden stage in the center of the market and moved the dancers to a local grain market. They believed that if these people danced day and night, they would eventually burn off the fever. It was like throwing gasoline on a wildfire. The music provided a beat for the madness to synchronize. More people collapsed. More people died. The streets of Strasbourg became a literal theater of death, where the sound of upbeat flutes was drowned out by the cracking of bones and the cries of the dying. Finally, realizing their mistake, the authorities shifted from science to religion. They banned the dancing, they banned music, and they banned public gatherings. They took the survivors, trembling and broken, to a mountain shrine dedicated to Saint Vitista, patron saint of dancers and those with neurological disorders. There, they were given small red shoes and led in a religious ceremony. Slowly, the madness began to fade. But why did it happen? For centuries, this fossilized fact remained buried under layers of myth. However, Modern researchers have tried to dig up the truth. Let's look at the three most compelling theories. Theory 1. Ergot poisoning. Some scientists suggest the dancers were victims of mass food poisoning. Ergot is a fungus that grows on damp rhythm, main ingredient in medieval bread. When consumed, ergot produces alkaloids similar to LSD. It can cause hallucinations and violent tremors. It sounds perfect, right? But there's a catch. Ergot usually cuts off blood flow to the limbs, making it almost impossible to dance for days on end. The movements would be jerky, not a sustained, week-long marathon. Theory 2. The cult of Saint Vitus. Some historians believe it was a form of choreomania, a ritualistic dance performed by religious cults. But the records show the people of Strasbourg were terrified of what was happening to them. They weren't dancing for a god. They were dancing because they couldn't stop. Theory 3. Mass psychogenic illness, stress-induced psychosis. This is the theory favored by most modern historians, including John Waller. The years leading up to 1518 were brutal for Strasbourg. There was famine, the bubonic plague was returning, and the social pressure was immense. When humans are pushed to the absolute brink of psychological endurance, the mind can snap. A single person's breakdown like Frau Troffea can act as a trigger for a community already living in a state of high alert terror. It was a collective psychological explosion. The dancing plague of 1518 serves as a haunting reminder of the power of the human mind and the strange ways in which history repeats itself. It shows us that under the right or wrong conditions, the line between sanity and madness is thinner than we'd like to believe. Could it happen again in a world of high stress and digital echo chambers? Perhaps we are already dancing to a beat we don't realize we're following. What do you think? Was it a fungus in the bread, a curse from a saint, or the weight of a world gone mad? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to keep unearthing the strangest truths the past has to offer, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join us on our next excavation. I'm your host, and this has been Fossilized Facts. Keep digging for the truth.